You're watching Linux Lite Learning. And guess what, kids? We're going to take a different approach with this. This is something I have never done with a boot camp or a training series. From this point forward, I am no longer going to number these episodes. What I'm going to do in my virtual machine here is, with each episode, we're going to use a fresh, clean installation of Linux Lite. This way, you can go to any episode in the series, with the exception of the first three, and be able to follow along without missing out on anything. Let me know what you guys think about that. Today's show, we're going to do something a little bit of fun. Instead of having to go through all that boring mumbo-jumbo, let's do something interesting. Okay, so today we're going to have a look at an alternative menu called Whisker. I think it's really cool. It's a really new program. The developer of Linux Lite may consider using this in the future when this has had time to mature, but I think it's ready now. Also, we're going to have some fun with the XFCE panel. We're going to do some customizations with that, and I'm also going to show you how to use the XFCE panel and turn it into a dock. All of that begins right now on Spatry's Cup of Linux. Alright, here we are. I've got a fresh install of Linux Lite here for you guys, and let's go ahead and begin having fun with the panel before we get to the Whisker menu. Now, in episode 3, I did have somebody request information on moving that panel. I've demonstrated it a number of times. It's really easy to do. First, what you're going to need to do is right-click on your panel on the bottom, okay, and then under Panel, there's this little arrow here. Another menu pops out, and you'll see Panel Preferences. Okay, you're going to see that there's a lock panel selected here. And what that does is it prevents you from moving the panel around. You'll notice a little change when I click on this. See how the Linux Lite menu kind of moves in the time? That's because you could probably barely see it, but there are some handlers here. And with these handlers, you can now move the menu. And you can position it on the screen. So I've got it on the top of the screen. That's where I happen to like to have my panel on my Linux boxes. But, you know, some people want to have more of a Windows kind of a feel and have the panel on the bottom. So, your preference may vary. All right, and then once you're done with that, you can lock that panel. Additionally, you can do a bunch of other really cool things with this. So, I mean, you can make the panel bigger, or smaller. I think I'm going to leave that on the default number of 30. And then, of course, you can define its length. So if you want to make it look like a dock of sorts, you can do that. And, of course, we have to unlock this if we want to reposition that panel in the center of the screen. Pretty neat, huh? I'm going to go ahead and put that back to 100%. Now, let's say you do want to have a dock. Okay. Let's just press the plus button right here. All right, and it puts a new panel here that is unlocked and ready for positioning. Let's go ahead and we're going to place this down here on the center of the screen. Okay, and now we are on panel 2 preferences, not on 1. So I like the panel on top the way it is. So let's go ahead and lock that down. So we're going to select panel 1, lock that panel down, and now it's not going to be moved easily. All right, and then we can select panel 2 here. Okay, we can make this look like a dock. Why don't we increase the length of this a little bit here? First, let's make this look more dock-like. So let's go ahead and increase the size of this. Maybe give that 50 pixels in height. And then maybe 30% in length. I think that would probably make for a good-looking panel. Or maybe, 50 is probably a little bit big. Maybe I could just shrink that down to 40. Okay, I think that looks better. Now, we can just go ahead and close this for the time being. Or you can go into preferences and change its appearance. You can use the system style. I always use this because in the later part of the series I'm going to cover theming this. And you'll want your panels and your and your dock here that we're pseudo dock that we're making here to match your system. So I always leave it none, use system style. And then here you can manually define items that you can put in here. For instance, if you want, you can put a clock on there. And you'll see there's a clock, just like we have here. And then, let's close this. You can click on this clock and then go into properties here. And then you can define its options, such as, you know, how it's going to display the time and that sort of thing. I'm going to close this. Then we can press the plus button. We can select some other things here too. I mean, there are so many different things, and each one of these has different preferences for it. So you're going to have to play with these because I'm not going to go through all of these individually. You also have action buttons. Let's go ahead and add that. And then, of course, let's close. And by clicking on this here, okay, basically it's a logout button. Let's cancel that. I really don't want either of these on here because this is going to be a dock. So we select each one and press the X button and then remove. Select, press X, and then remove. We're going to close this now because we have things already installed on the system that we can use on our pseudo dock at the bottom of the screen. So what we go ahead and do is we'll just press menu here. Let's say in the internet we want to be able to have a quick launch to Mumble so that you can join me on Saturday nights, maybe even Sunday nights. Sometimes it misbehaves here when you're trying to drag items, so be careful with that. Let's go into internet, we'll grab Mumble again. Okay, and it positioned it here. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and lock this too. Panel, go into panel preferences. We'll lock that panel down. This won't affect anything, I don't think, as far as putting things in here. Okay, and of course, if you're joining me on the weekends for my live shows, you'll definitely want to be on IRC as well. So why don't we just go ahead and put a link to XChat IRC here. And like I said, sometimes it behaves, sometimes it doesn't. Probably because I'm trying to hurry along here. There it goes. All right, and then we can just continue to add things. Maybe if you're a graphics artist, you want the GIMP. Okay, maybe you want a quick launch to your VLC. Okay. And, all right, how about your email? Let's do Thunderbird as well. Okay, maybe your Office suite. So remember, kids, the first time you try and put it in, it ain't going to work, but the second time it will let you. Actually, during pre-show testing, I was able to do this right the first time, every time. So that's kind of weird. Okay, so at any rate, let's say we've got enough of these icons here. So now we can go into panel preferences here, maybe do some changes to this. Okay, and then we can maybe increase the size. Okay, nice. Choose a solid color here, though, if we wanted to. Too bad it doesn't give me any transparency options and just make this invisible. That's okay. And we'll stay with none. Use system style. All right, now let's have fun with the Whisker menu. Whisker is really cool. Now, I can tell you that Linux Lite uses XFCE version 4.8. Okay, and the way you find this out is just right-click on your panel here, and under Panel, go to About, and it will tell you that it's using XFCE 4.8. But if you're like me and you installed the PPA and you're running the latest 4.10, there are some instructions for this, but I'm not going to. That's not the scope today to upgrade XFCE, Instead, we're going to be installing Whisker Menu for XFCE 4.8. Okay, this page will be in the show notes, and of course, this is one of my web pages that I like to go to get news and information. So webupdate.org is the place to go for this information. Okay, so basically we're going to put some informations here in the terminal. Sudo adapt repository PPA .code /gc PPA. And then sudo apt-get update, and then sudo apt-get install XFCE4 Whisker Menu plugin. Okay, and then if you have XFCE 4.10, which is what I'm running on my system, you would add this particular repository. Now, before I run this, I'm calling out to any hackers or programmers out there. If you guys can figure out how to get Whisker Menu working with the Avant window navigator, this is what I'm using here on my computer. I'm using Cardapio presently, and I really love the Whisker Menu. So if you guys, any of you guys can give me any hints or clues on how to get that or force that to work with Avant window navigator, put it in the space below, and I will try it out. And if I can get it working, I will do a tutorial to help others get this working. So, because I would love to have Whisker Menu working with Avant window navigator. Yeah, AWN is the bomb. What can I say? So I definitely want to be able to have that functionality. So let's go ahead and open up our terminal. We have a terminal link right here. Okay, and I'm just going to copy these lines of code here. Control-C, and then Control-Shift-V. We'll paste it into the terminal, press Enter, put in your password. Enter to continue adding the PPA. Okay, and then we will just go through Control-Copy, Control-C for copy, Control-Shift-V to paste in the terminal. I'll right-click and copy this one here. Once this is done. All right, Control-Shift-V to paste that next line. Sudo apt-get install XFCE4 Whisker Menu plugin. By the way, I have Whisker Menu installed on my mother's computer. She's running Linux Lite 106, the 32-bit PAE, and she's got the Whisker Menu on her computer, and she's loving it, loving it, loving it, because it's easy for her to navigate to all of her favorite programs and such. So one of these days, Mom has got to get on the show. I'll have to coax her into coming on. She's a little shy about getting in front of the camera. Okay, so first, now that that has been installed, we'll right-click on the panel and then go into Panel Preferences here. Okay, and then under Items, now we'll need to press the plus button here, and here is the Whisker Menu. We will add that, and then close. Now, Whisker Menu is all the way over here, and we don't want it there. So let's go ahead and move that up. Okay, and then we're going to take Applications menu, and we're going to get rid of that. So now we have the Whisker Menu here, but now we can edit some preferences. Okay, so we can just call this menu. Show applications by name, show application descriptions, item icon size, you can choose how large they are, and category size, you can choose those as well. You can choose to display just the icon, or icon and title, which is what we have here, and then of course you can change the image to anything you want. And let me see if there is a Linux Lite image in this stack of images. And if not, I'm not going to really worry about it. I think I'm just going to go with the XFCE4 panel menu icon. Select OK. There we are. All right, and now we'll go ahead and close this. And now you're going to see we have a delightful little menu here that we can use to navigate the system. And the nice thing about this is, you know, you can search for things. So just by typing in a few characters, type in game, for instance, and some relevant items will come up. Very interesting. Okay, you also have your all settings, which is easily accessible just from using that button here, which is nice. Okay, you can lock your screen and then a log out button here, and everything is nice and neatly categorized. This is a nice alternative to the XFCE menu. Now I have to figure out what to do about theming this as well. You know, this is still in its infancy. I'm sure options will come at a later time which will allow us to theme this thing, but all in all, it is a really nice menu. And I actually set up my mother's Linux desktop to match the menu because she liked the lighter colors and the theme. I'll have to get her to appear in front of the camera and show off her Linux desktop with her menu. Okay, in the next episode, I think we're going to step down and do something a little bit boring. We're going to follow the documentation for Linux Lite. We're going to see if I can get this thing to communicate with a Windows computer over the network. I'll see you then.